Nikatoka huko hadi wa sasa sijawahi ita kwa hiyo hospitali. Nikawa tu nyumbani katika huzuni. Shida tu ni mtoto anataka shule. Na akifika shule wengine wanaogopa kucheza na yeye. Hata yeye mwenyewe anapikanga tu mahali ananiambia madhe chukua kisu ukate tu hapa nikuwa mrembo kama wengine. Hadi nashindwa nitaweza msaidiaje. Ndio naona wengine wakicheza wana furaha. Na inafika tu mahali hana hata furaha. Anaweza shinda tu kwa nyumba.
Naombea Fema Life chini ya Dr. Wairimu.
Thank you.
Sikuwa najua. Naweza nikafikisha hapo. Na nipone vile nimepona hivi.
My name is Salim Mvuria, the Cabinet Secretary, Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. And I want to tell all Kenyans, Chan is here with us. I want to invite you to Kasarani so you can rally our Harambee Stars team. The tickets are affordable, 200, 500, 1,000. Harambee Stars is playing, Kenya is playing. Let's meet at Kasarani. Tuko pamoja.
Nitalinda haki zangu. Umepewa haki yako. Jamii yajiuliza, wako wapi kama hao?
My name is Nesta Zakaria Muita. From an artist, I like drawing. And what inspired me to draw is my dad when I was a child. And that's how I started drawing.
Just like drawing, it became a hobby, and it's really fun to do.
They have to move because a huge highway needs to pass there. And she does not like the idea. Well, she and her family get help from a very unlikely friend.
I'm going to teach you how to make a lemonade.
My name is Stephanie and today I'm going to show you how to make honey barbecue chicken.
Today is a testimony of a man that survived as a mistaken identity, and he survived to live to give this story.
My story, it was in the year 2014 as I was negotiating the corner. They overtook us and blocked our car. Their gun was ready, cocked ready for anything. Mulikuwa nafikiri mtaipa. Na mimi nikamwambia, we are not robbers, we are servants of God. Hapo ndio alinifuata na risasi.
Wakenya wenzangu, this August, something big is happening. Chan 2024 is here and Harambee Stars are ready to shine. Let us come together and support our boys as they fight for glory. From the first whistle to the last goal, let us cheer loud and proud. Tune in to KBC Channel 1 and let's cheer our boys. Because when Harambee Stars win, Kenya wins. Twende kazi, Team Kenya all the way.
Why shift from the 1969 National Building Code to the new Building Code 2024? That is a conversation that we'll be having tonight with Engineer Maurice Akech, who is the Director General at National Construction Authority, even as professionals shift from adopting the new codes aimed at improving construction standards and public safety. We'll be having that conversation later on this broadcast, but first, we take a look at the highlights.
We have seen clearly that more than 5,000 schools out of this 9,700 did not get any learners selected.
Over 400,000 grade 9 learners expected to transition to grade 10 barely understand the 3 career pathways.
I am telling my competitors, you have no credible plan on what you want to do about these young people of Kenya. I can confirm that I have a solid, credible plan on how to take the country out of unemployment.
Chaos and destruction of property does not create jobs. President William Ruto tells opposition leaders. NASA's term SHARS means testing contributions tool as ineffective in determining the true economic position of households. And Naivasha Member of Parliament Jane Kihara is arrested for alleged incitement and snubbing DCI summons. Thank you for joining us on tonight's Prime Edition. My name is Wairimu, Njenga, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Lensa Odingo. We are live on YouTube and also on all our social media handles at KBC Channel 1 at Wairimu. Njenga is my handle. Now we kick it off with over 400,000 grade 9 learners, accounting for 35% of 1.2 million learners expected to transition to grade 10, have no clear understanding of the 3 career pathways, namely science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, social science and arts, and sports science, even as the school selection exercise concluded on 30th June. This is according to a report by Zizi Africa Foundation and Usawa Age Agenda, which shows that 60% of the learners want to pursue STEM courses, with 68% being boys and 59% being girls. Kasichana Maschana starts our bulletin tonight.
It is barely 6 months before the transition of 1.2 million grade 9 learners to senior school. The curriculum-based education system demands that learners select schools according to the career pathways they want to pursue.
All our learners have got an opportunity to choose the schools they like. And from the selection results, we have seen clearly that more than 5,000 schools out of this 9,700 did not get any learners selected. Reason is because some of these schools, maybe the learners do not prefer them, and other reasons, including locality, preferences.
However, a report on the state of education released by Zizi Africa and Usawa Agenda on the state of education during a Citizens of the Future Education Summit in Nairobi shows that a third of the learners have no clear understanding of the 3 pathways: STEM, social sciences, and arts and sports sciences.
The readiness and understanding of the pathways by learners. And 65% of them know the pathways. Majority of them are choosing to want to go to STEM, especially boys. 68% of them want to go to STEM, and 59% of the girls want to go to STEM pathways. But it's important for us to look at the 35% who are in the grade that is supposed to be choosing pathways, but they don't know about the pathways.
The report further shows that as of December 2024, only 21% of teachers in public junior schools were trained in STEM, with 35% of the schools without a single STEM teacher, and only 48% of learners in these schools had access to laboratory facilities.
The global UNESCO recommended student-teacher ratio is for every one teacher for senior school, or rather secondary school, is 1 to 35. For primary school, or what we are calling now comprehensive school, it is 1 to 25. We have 12.6 million learners. That is in junior, or that is in primary, junior, and secondary school right now, 12.6. If you do your mathematics, the ratio right now is 1 to 29.
The research showed that children who attended preschool before joining primary school are 9% more likely to perform better in maths and 18% in English than those who did not. The findings also revealed that learners in arid and semi-arid lands and rural areas underperform those in non-ASAL and urban areas, like in northeastern region, where only 2 in 10 grade 4 learners could read and comprehend a grade 3 level English story. Additionally, in Mandera County, for example, 51.4% of children falling under the early childhood education category are out of school due to inaccessibility, with Nakuru County recording 1.8% with the highest access. Overall, the study identified a lack of adequate staffing, ICT, science facilities, and related physical infrastructure, including ablution and sanitation blocks and capitation for public schools, as some of the major challenges hampering education development in Kenya. Calls have been made for a robust collaboration framework that allows the communities, private sector, and development partners to play a significant role in public education resourcing and management.
We have to escalate digital learning by having ICT centers set up in more than 80% of the learning institutions in the country. We want to explore innovative ways of scaling education financing to ensure that we create an equitable chance for every learner in the country.
Kenya is actually a leader of education on the continent. So the things that you see us raising up as challenges can make us feel bad, but remembering that the challenges we confront as a continent are a lot, and education sector alone cannot solve all its problems.
Kasichana Masha, Prime Edition.
President William Ruto has challenged his political opponents to present tangible solutions to unemployment instead of inciting the youth to cause chaos and destroy property. Ruto defended his administration's job creation efforts, citing ongoing programs that have already absorbed thousands of youths. He spoke in Dandora while inspecting the Nairobi River Regeneration Program.
President William Ruto has defended his administration track record on job creation, calling out his critics to table viable solutions instead of inciting the youth to destruction.
I am telling my competitors, you have no credible plan on what you want to do about these young people of Kenya. I can confirm that I have a solid, credible plan on how to take the country out of unemployment.
Ruto said his government has created jobs for the youth across various initiatives, with the Climate Works program creating 200,000 jobs nationally, while more than 320,000 are working in the affordable housing program.
Mimi nataka wale viongozi ambao wako na mashindano. Vile mimi nimepanga Climate Works. Vile mimi nimepanga affordable housing, vijana wapate ajira. Vile nimepanga mambo ya labor mobility, vijana wapate kazi. Watuambie mpango yao ni gani? Haiwezi kuwa ati mpango yao ni kupanga vijana waende waharibu mali ya watu wengine na kuchoma mali ya watu wengine. That cannot be an alternative plan for creating jobs in the Republic of Kenya.
Rais, unavyoongeza madarasa, mimi naongeza dishi na county. Unaongeza madarasa, mimi nalisha watoto wetu.
The Nairobi River Regeneration Program, he noted, has provided employment to 20,000 young people in Nairobi.
Kuanzia Monday, Jumatatu, tunaongeza vijana wengine 20,000 wa kufanya hii kazi. Mbali na kutengeneza river hii, pia tutajenga sewer lines 2 ile maji yote ya takataka haiwezi tena kuingia kwa river.
The president reaffirmed his commitment to transforming Nairobi into a top global hub with the construction of 70 kilometers of road already underway. Moreover, he urged the youth to shun leaders who offer no tangible solutions.
Musikubali na viongozi wenye hawana mipango yoyote. Watu wa ukabila na chuki, watu wa kisirani na kuendesha vita na kupanga vita ya kuharibu mali ya watu wengine. Musikubali twende hiyo barabara.
He also urged Kenyans to register with the Social Health Authority, pledging to strengthen it so that it works for all citizens.
Mimi nitahakikisha kwamba hiyo SHA inafanya kazi, ndio kila mmoja wetu aende hospitali, atibiwe na aende nyumbani SHA ilipe bili ya hospitali.
The president was flanked by various leaders including Nairobi County Deputy Governor James Mushiri, MPs Felix Odwor for Langata, TJ Kajwang for Ruaraka, George Aladwa MP Makadara, Anthony Olwach Madare, and nominated MPs Karen Nyamu and Maureen Mutinda. Doreen Arange for Prime Edition.
Tuendelee sio? Ati watu wa Embakasi.
Now, the Kenya National Union of Nurses and Midwives is faulting the Social Health Authority Men's Testing Contribution Tool, saying it is ineffective. Led by the union's National General Secretary, Seth Panyako, the nurses want SHA to redesign the tool in a manner that reflects the true economic position of households across the country. Wycliffe Okech with more details.
Kenyans' contributions to the national medical cover under the Social Health Authority SHA is among the many issues under discussion as the leadership of the Kenya National Union of Nurses and Midwives gather in Kisumu County for a 2-day capacity building workshop.
Solidarity forever.
The nurses claim that the means testing system currently in use does not reflect the true economic position of Kenya's contributing households and want it redesigned.
We said we will give our very poor, vulnerable poor people to pay 300 shillings. Today, even a widow who does not even have a house is being asked to pay 800. And she's being told, you cannot be treated unless you pay for a whole year. This is a thorn in the flesh of Kenyan people.
And reacting to the new bed capacity access rule announced on Wednesday by the Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Dwale, the nurses implored counties to adequately equip the public health facilities for quality healthcare delivery.
We want to urge our public health institutions to take that seriously because we are supporting the Honorable Minister on that one fully.
Decrying the imbalanced patient-to-nurse ratio, the union also wants healthcare personnel reinforced.
One nurse cannot provide care for 40 patients. It has never happened anywhere.
We are saying we want quality healthcare services to our clients.
The nurses at the same time alleged discrimination in the training of healthcare personnel by their employers.
There is need that all cadres are given equal training opportunities. It is not that just one cadre is being supported in going for trainings. We want the nurses to be supported.
For Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Naivasha Member of Parliament Jane Kihara has been arrested by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations officers after she declined to honor summons for alleged incitement and undermining the authority of a public officer. Kihara was whisked from her home in Maraigosho to Naivasha Police Station, where she denied allegations of being behind the chaos in Naivasha that saw several traders lose their property to hired goons. In her defense, the lawmaker termed the summons against her as unconstitutional, accusing the state of intimidation.
Mimi sijaingia police station maisha yangu yote, sijaandikwa kwa hiyo kitabu. Na mimi si pastor. Ile nasafanyanga ni siasa. So wacheni twende tukasikie mbele.
When they came in here, so they have not told her what a specific crime or what the specific reason why she had been invited here. They have said that for them was just to process her and take her to this guy in Nairobi. So that's why I also want to rush there so that we can understand.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has sounded a warning to people suspected of trading in illegal firearms across the porous Uganda-Kenya border straddling West Pokot and Turkana counties. The firearms, Murkomen says, are the main cause of recurring cases of banditry and cattle rustling in the North Rift. Separately, 16 immigrants from Uganda are in police custody for allegedly abducting and killing a juvenile for organ harvesting purposes. The investigations are ongoing. Giverson Minor reports.
Kapenguria in West Pokot County on Wednesday hosted the Jukwaa la Usalama, a security engagement exercise with the local communities, especially those living in insecurity-prone areas, security personnel, and the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen.
Mtu asijifanye mclever, ati we ni kiongozi, ama opinion leader, or it's someone who pretending here to think that they can wear a suit and they're carrying guns and bullets to go and sell to young people to cause chaos. Just remember the famous quote that if you rattle a snake, you must be ready to be bitten by it.
The Interior CS saying preliminary investigations point to influential persons in the county.
National Police Service and all our security agencies are going to have targeted, well-surveilled, intelligence-covered operations. And we will pick people from their villages and their comfort, of their shops, of their homes, and we'll take them through a justice process. So be very careful. And I'm not talking to Pokots only. This message goes to Marakwet here, because we know it's a collusion across these two counties.
Murkomen also said security agencies are probing cases of suspected human trafficking and cannibalism in West Pokot County.
This barbaric act of cannibalism, heinous act of cannibalism, is now different. We need to find out exactly what kind of human beings are these and why are they doing this issue. Does it also link to mental health issues or what it's all about?
These coming weeks, after 13 suspects from neighboring Uganda were arrested for allegedly abducting and killing a juvenile.
Someone is judged by the way he dresses.
The suspects were transferred from Kapenguria to Kitale for their safety after angry residents threatened to storm the police station where they had been detained.
Mining was stopped except for artisanal mining. Those people wanaenda kutumia karai kidogo, the way I used to do when I was young, wameambiwa waendelee. Lakini the rest of the people who are doing commercial mining, it has been stopped until it is properly organized. But we know that it's been stopped, but there are people who are doing it at night. They are doing it with the protection of militia.
Giverson Minor, Prime Edition in West Pokot County.
The National Assembly Public Investment Committee on Social Services now wants the Communication Authority to use its powers to compel Telkom Kenya to pay its 4.9 billion shillings debt. MPs grilled the authority's Director General David Mugonyi as to why he cannot switch off Telkom Kenya but is quick to switch off broadcasts of anti-government demonstrations.
They owe you a lot of money. We need not to go to Kenyans' pockets. You switch it off, be paid, they come back. Why you switch it off media for Kenyans? Why are you not switching off telecoms?
Telkom offers the government of Kenya a very serious service, and they provide security-related services. So for that reason, and for the sake of national security, you cannot do switch off Telkom. So that's why we engage the National Treasury, we engage our parent ministry to be able to resolve this debt issue. You know, switching off Telkom could result into a very serious security matter.
Are you aware that Telkom was sold? Are you aware?
How will somebody come and buy Telkom Kenya with all these huge loans alongside? Is that really even making sense? There is more than meets the eye, Chair.
The fate of the Gambling Control Bill 2023 remains uncertain after a section of senators vowed to reject it, citing loopholes that could enable money laundering and moral decay. The lawmakers who were debating the mediated version of the bill in the Senate say while it proposes tougher penalties and regulations, it still fails short of addressing the deeper issues plaguing the gambling industry.
The Betting Control Bill 2023 has once again split opinion in the Senate. On Thursday, lawmakers scrutinizing the mediated version of the proposed legislation raised red flags over what they termed as glaring gaps that could allow illicit financial flows under the guise of regulated betting activities.
It might not be a sustainable solution to just write a piece of legislation. We need to actually go down to the base, to the core, to the bottom line, which is why are our people feeling the need to continue to gamble their lives, their assets, their dreams, their possessions away?
Mr. Speaker, this is not the time for us to encourage gambling in this country. I share the same sentiments with my colleagues who have spoken before me in terms of making it punitive for anyone to come and gamble this time. We must, first of all, solve our social issues.
The root cause of gambling is a misconception that it's a shortcut. It is a shortcut to making wealth. There's a shortcut to creating wealth. And in a country like Kenya now, where there is to make a shilling has become very difficult, you can see the way this thing has mushroomed across. And maybe we may need to withdraw this bill.
Among the key proposals in the bill are stiffer penalties for those operating without licenses, an increase from the current 3 million shillings to 5 million shillings, an increase in taxes on the proceeds of betting, as well as restrictions on the hours during which betting advertisements can run on air and media platforms.
This House will not allow it to pass in this House, so that we make sure that gambling as a vice does not percolate in our society. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, you will start seeing with, these Gen Zs that we are now seeing not having employment opportunities, Mr. Speaker, they will find themselves that gambling is the only option that they must go to.
Despite the opinion, some senators backed the bill, terming it as a necessary first step in bringing order to a fast-growing and largely unregulated sector.
I've done some good research on this. Those sites are operated by very sophisticated software that even if you block their IP address this minute, by the next minute, they have generated a new one. And our young people are following those sites there. So we must think of ways of how we will regulate this sector.
Nothing stops us from ensuring that this website that the majority leader is talking about, that if you block this IP address, even the IP address is a problem, ensure that everyone, any transaction which is done in the Kenya space, even if the site is in Germany or America, requires you to put in your ID number. And if you put in your ID number, if you're not over 18, or if it is gambling, it blocks.
With concerns ranging from economic harm to moral erosion, the future of the Gambling Control Bill 2023 now hangs in the balance as senators weigh regulation against social responsibility. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Now that story takes us to a first commercial break. Remember, we have our conversation tonight on the new National Building Code 2024. And in studio, I'll be joined by Engineer Maurice Okech, who is the Executive Director at the National Construction Authority, as we delve into that conversation. We take that commercial break.
Mimi ni Salim Mvurya, waziri wa masuala ya vijana, uchumi bunifu na michezo. CHAN imewasili Kenya. Na waomba Wakenya wote tuweze kujitokeza kwa wingi, tuweze kushabikia timu yetu ya Harambee Stars. Tiketi tunaweza kulipa shilingi 200, 500 na 1000. Na CHAN iko KBC Channel 1 na KBC Radio Taifa. Tukutane Kasarani. Kenya ni nchi yetu, Harambee Stars ni timu yetu, na sisi ni wazalendo wa Kenya.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement.
When they are standing, we need to stand out.
From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in their individual fields.
You have to have a vision. You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood on KBC TV for Dada's show.
Looking to advertise on KBC? KBC announcement services are now available on eCitizen. Visit kbc.ecitizen.go.ke and fill out the online application form. It's simple. 1. Complete the form. 2. Upload required documents. 3. Receive a quotation based on word count. And 4. Get notified via SMS when your announcement is ready. Please note, clearly indicate the type of announcement, service station, and all relevant details. 2. All applications must be made online only. Manual submissions will not be accepted. And 3. Announcements will air after news bulletins. For assistance, reach us on email ecitizen@kbc.co.ke or use our social media handles, Facebook, your Facebook account, and X at your X account. Or you can call us on 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124. KBC announcements. Simple, fast, and digital.
Welcome back. You are watching Prime Edition, and thank you for staying with us. We continue with the day's news. Healthcare facilities have been challenged to embrace an alternative mode of disposing of hospital waste from the traditional waste incineration. According to air quality experts, waste incineration is becoming inefficient as it is exposing the public to harmful pollutants. The experts who were speaking during the closing of the 3-day conference on clean air in Nairobi also emphasized the need to strengthen health policies and regulations that will in turn foster compliance and enforcement in these facilities.
Hospital waste has emerged as the second highest source of air pollution due to its open burning process.
Because incineration uses a lot of electricity at very high temperatures. The pollution from incineration is worse than a coal-fired power station for the same energy amount.
Air quality experts, researchers and scientists drawn from across the globe attending the Clean Air Forum in Nairobi are now pushing for the urgent prioritization of proper hospital waste management that is slowly becoming a nightmare.
Because it has very dangerous chemicals, including the dioxins and furans, which are a huge source of cancer in the city.
It's this invisible killer that does a slow death, because we don't immediately start I can breathe now, but the air quality might be detrimental to my health.
The environment conservation stakeholders emphasized adoption of alternative waste disposal methods and strengthening of relevant policies.
There is a lot of technologies nowadays that can be used to manage this, including autoclaving, microwaving, that kind of reduces or remove the infectious state of the waste.
Government is an important player in saying this is the law, and everyone needs to adhere to the law.
With this year's theme being Partnerships for Clean Air Solutions, experts shared hospital waste disposal technologies used in their respective countries.
They introduced color-coded segregation. So in major hospitals in Kampala,
waste is segregated in different containments.
Community recyclers who are able to pick some of the recyclable, who are able to pick some of the things that can be reused or recovered. By the way, very little will be able to go to the incinerator.
This, even as they called for more funding to the sector, which they termed as forgotten, yet it contributes hugely to climate change.
If you look at the reports from the Clean Air Fund, for instance, showing that only 1% of international aid is going to air quality projects. So there is still a lot to be doing there.
It's time that we targeted grants that are out there for climate change, since we don't have the funding to manage this waste.
Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Senior officials of the Nairobi Hospital have applied to have High Court Judge Professor Nixon Sifuna recuse himself in a case pitting two factions fighting for the control of one of the highest, or rather the biggest hospital in Kenya. The officials, through their counsel, Peter Wanyama, accused the court of bias when it declined to postpone the proceeding after purging contempt of court against one faction. And as Ruth Wamboi reports, the proceeding was temporarily halted following an altercation between lawyers for the feuding factions.
The case began with the hearing of a purging of a contempt of court against Nairobi Hospital CEO Felix Osano, Company Secretary Gilbert Nyamoya, and Board Chair Buckley Onyango for going against court directive and holding meetings on the feud over the management of the hospital.
Sorry about that, my lord. Otherwise, my lord, I am ready to proceed where I started.
However, Onyango was not present in court, prompting his lawyer to seek an adjournment that was opposed by the counsel for the other faction, which is led by Herman Manyora.
My clients are ready to respond to the contempt application on paper. But for us to be fully ready in court, we're just asking for leave.
What you have seen is a series of applications to derail proceedings, filibuster, so that the court loses track.
The court was then presented with two applications, one to purge the contempt and the second to adjourn the proceedings.
When I am saying that I have an application for recusal, my lord, the jurisprudence throughout the courts is that the application for recusal ought to be heard first.
When presiding judge Professor Nixon Sifuna dismissed both applications, opting to proceed with the matter, tempers flared.
My lord, I will not sit down. You can cite me for contempt.
Proceed Sword on 7th of July 2025.
My lord, I am requesting that you hear my oral application for recusal. And I'm insisting, my lord.
My lord,
directed that you file an... No, my lord, I want to make an oral application because you are proceeding, my lord, to make
the subject
steps without hearing me.
The order of the court.
My lord, you have a duty to hear the parties.
On the 3rd of
No, my lord, you have a duty to hear the parties.
This prompted the court to retreat to the chamber with all counsels present to cool off. And when they emerged, the hearing of the case was fixed for 22nd July. In the case, Buckley Onyango and Herman Manyora are both claiming to be board chair. Manyora was allegedly installed through a special board meeting as chairman on 30th June this year. Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni has called for stronger partnerships between governments to combat non-communicable and neglected tropical diseases. The Principal Secretary highlighted that recent cases of cholera and soil-transmitted infection in Kenya are preventable through better sanitation practices. This and other stories in our county's news roundup.
Speaking during the launch of the Epuka Uchafu Afya Nyumbani initiative, a program aimed at eradicating diarrheal disease in informal settlements, Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni emphasized that both national and county governments must work together to improve sanitation across the country.
Kenya saa hii, ile magonjwa mingi sana inatupata ni kwa sababu ya uchafu. Na ile magonjwa mingi inapata watu, magonjwa inaweza fika hata 10, ni magonjwa inaweza tukaipuuza pale kwa manyumba zetu.
Elsewhere, a woman and her child died on the spot after a 14-seater matatu they were traveling in was involved in an accident with a truck along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway. 10 other passengers with varying degrees of injuries were rushed to the nearby Nakuru Level 5 hospital.
That's the time we managed to, the trailer that was in front with that matatu, that's the time it was, we called for the cart, the excavator, which came and the other vehicles and pulled the trailer.
Meanwhile, one person died and several others were injured in a road accident along Nairobi-Moranga Road involving 2 matatus. According to eyewitnesses, one of the matatus lost control and rammed into another stationary matatu that was being repaired.
Simu yangu sasa imeenda. Imekanyangwa na hii gari. Toolbox yangu imekanyangwa, imeharibika yote. Sasa mimi naomba serikali iji atuondoreshe hapa.
Meanwhile, residents of Kanyaluo Kobila village in Homa Bay County held a peaceful demonstration demanding compensation from the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company following the issuance of backdated eviction notices which residents claim they received only a day prior.
You want us to vacate our houses. Where are we going to? We've not been paid for the houses. We've not been paid for the land that we're supposed to go and maybe buy and build our houses. We are appealing for help. The government of Kenya, even the higher officers, we are appealing for help. Come in and assist us.
Finally, Kakamega County Governor Fernandez Baraza has urged the national government to pardon youth who participated in the nationwide protests and pave the way for dialogue.
Those who have been injured is also an opportunity for me to request the national government to waive their medical bills so that the youth can engage the national officials on dialogue.
Johnson Karugu reporting from Prime Edition.
Now change gears to business news. The government is banking on fintech firms to unlock funding for small and medium enterprise to spur economic growth. MSME's Development Principal Secretary Susan Mangeni says it is more convenient for small traders to access credit from fintechs than traditional credit sources that still find MSMEs risk-averse, hampering the sector from realizing its full potential.
Access to credit has remained a long-standing challenge for micro, small and medium enterprises despite contributing significantly to the GDP.
Recently, I think we adopted the risk-based financing, and we've been trying that policy, been trying to, reach out to the conventional bank, to, traditional bank, to embrace it. But the uptake is extremely very low.
Data from the financial sector deepening Kenya shows that Kenya's MSME sector has a funding gap of 2.58 trillion shillings.
Still, most MSMEs are not able to access financing, and therefore we need to sit down with fintech. So if you are to ask these MSMEs, where do you get a lot of your finances, especially the micro entrepreneurs, they all direct you to fintech.
Traditional banking systems often perceive MSMEs as high-risk borrowers due to their informal nature, lack of collateral and limited credit history. Fintech companies are bridging this gap by offering faster, more inclusive financial services that are accessible via mobile phones.
The real reason we're here is really to find those partnerships, whether it's with banks, whether it's with mobile money operators, as long as we can get a gateway to other markets outside of our own primary markets. I think that would be great for MSMEs. They're not asking for handouts. The only way to unlock the intra-Africa trade really is through collaboration. And I think that's what is going to really grow the African economy.
This move is expected to enable MSMEs to tap into new markets and build cross-border supply chains with ease, especially under the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, businesses have been urged to shift towards environmental, social, and governance considerations in their operations to attract capital and remain competitive. Standard Chartered Bank Africa CEO Kariuki Ngare says in an increasingly climate-conscious financial landscape, businesses that fail to demonstrate sustainability in their operations risk being left behind as investors and lenders lighten their expectations.
Standard Chartered Bank has reported in its 2024 Sustainability Progress Report that its sustainable finance income rose by 132% to 2.99 billion shillings, while sustainable finance assets climbed to 31.3 billion shillings, reflecting a growing appetite for financial products that support environmental and social outcomes.
We had set out to achieve over at least 3 billion shillings from sustainable finance, and it's actually being a lot more focused in the sectors that we are lending to, and actually looking at what is the sustainability link that is accruing to what we are doing.
We look at it from, if you look at it from corporate and investment banking sector, the clients that we have there will have their own needs for low carbon transition, and some of them are sustainability linked loan, and you'll see that covered in the book that with some of our clients also looking at women empowerment, financial inclusion.
The lender says its own operations have undergone a sustainability overhaul with a 74% cut on its carbon emissions and energy usage by 54%. As sustainable finance becomes central to long-term growth, the lender says local businesses have to adjust their models to meet new expectations from lenders and investors.
We've seen clients come to us, they want to do a lot more with solar. They want to transition from electricity to solar. Then we are very happy to participate with that.
And so as we think about how we can increase the financial health of families and of enterprises in particular, how do we really unlock access to sustainable credit that helps people deal with climate risk, that helps them invest in their business and to support their families?
Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Kiharu Member of Parliament Dende Nyoro says the explanation offered about the additional 7 shillings on fuel maintenance levy introduced last year is inaccurate. Nyoro claims the additional road maintenance levy has been used as collateral to secure 175 billion shillings loan. Speaking at Getuto in Kiharu constituency, Nyoro claimed the loan in question is missing from the official national debt register.
The question or the answer that we need from them, one, it is there in the response of the minister or the cabinet secretary for energy that there was actually an introduction of 7 shillings last year. So the question is simple: where is that money? Now, in their responses, they tried to justify that this money that was borrowed, that was introduced, was actually used as collateral to take debt, to take a loan from our local banks. Now, that loan is to be paid by Kenyans for the next 7 years. For the next 7 years. The question we are asking are simple. By the maturity of the 7 years, how much money will Kenyans have paid for that loan? That is number one. Secondly, why is this money not being treated or included as part of the national debt?
The youth should take advantage of digital skilling opportunities being offered by public and private institutions to be empowered to tap online opportunities. ICT and the Digital Economy Principal Secretary Engineer John Tanui says there is increasingly demand for skilled staff in software development, networking, data analysis, cybersecurity, among others.
The Kenya National Digital Master Plan 2022-2032 aims to accelerate economic growth through digital transformation, focusing on infrastructure, digital government services, skills development and innovation. This includes a training of 20 million citizens in digital literacy. This means 10,000 public service officers in specialized ICT areas and equipping 300,000 civil servants with digital skills and data protection knowledge.
Identify as many certifications that you require in your area of focus and get those certifications. And this certification should not just be a paper. It should be actually a demonstration that you have the capabilities that certifications testifies of.
Engineer Tanui says Kenya has achieved 1 billion shillings in digital services exports with the potential to grow the local ecosystem through development of indigenous platforms such as eCitizen and Afya Yangu.
What are you doing to see that we even grow indigenous digital platforms or enhance the platforms that are already emerging? We have the eCitizen. It's becoming a platform. It has almost 13 million people registered there. We have now Afya Yangu.
We believe that digital skills are one of the key foundations for every country's digital economy. And your completion of this training in networking, cloud, and AI is not just a personal achievement, but a contribution to Kenya's national goals.
This program was conceptualized and launched in 2015, has since developed a pool of 3,300 talents with technical skills, workplace exposure, mentorship, and a chance to contribute to meaningful Kenyan's digital transformation.
They were speaking at the 9th Presidential Digital Talent Program graduation. The Residential Digital Talent Program is an ICT upskilling program conceptualized through the partnership between the Government of Kenya and Huawei Technologies. And here is where it gets interesting. According to Huawei's Global Digitization Index, the digital economy of the world is set to grow 3 times more than the physical economy. Now, this is where the Kenyan youth are being urged to take advantage of the ICT economy in the country if they are to grab the future. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
Wakenya wenzangu, this August, something big is happening. Chan 2024 is here and Harambee Stars are ready to shine. Let us come together and support our boys as they fight for glory. From the first whistle to the last goal, let us cheer loud and proud. Tune in to KBC Channel 1 and let's cheer our boys. Because when Harambee Stars win, Kenya wins. Twende kazi, Team Kenya, all the way.
Usemaji wa uongo ni jambo ambalo limepigwa vita katika Uislamu, ila kuna mambo ambayo yanaweza kupelekea kuweza kuficha ukweli.
Maisha yake Nabii Ibrahim alilazimika kuficha ukweli mara kadhaa kutokana na sababu tofauti, zikiwemo pale Nabii Ibrahim alipoficha ukweli baada ya kuvunja masanamu yote yaliyokuwa yakiabudiwa.
Kwa hivyo hili ni jambo ambalo kwamba kila Muislamu lazima afahamu malengo mahsusi aliyoletewa hapa duniani, kuwa si lingine isipokuwa ni kumwabudu Mola wake.
Ni mwaliko wa kuishi kwa unyenyekevu, matumaini na moyo wa shukrani kila siku, kila saa, kila pumzi.
La ilaha illa Allah.
The men and women in boats, they are commanded to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. Their bravery knows no limits.
Make a man go through the wall without breaking the wall.
Laziness, it is not in our vocabulary.
But what are their stories, their tales? Military Tales, every Saturday at 9 p.m. with Ben Troy Njoe.
Well, it is that time we have that conversation that had earlier on indicated on the new National Building Code 2024. And in studio, I'm joined by Engineer Maurice Akech, the Executive Director at the National Construction Authority. Welcome to our studios tonight, sir.
Thank you, Wairimu, for this opportunity.
You're welcome. And of course, we'll be looking at the Kenya's construction industry, which of course grew in an estimated $15.6 billion in 2023 and is projected to grow at 5% annually through 2028. But this is not without challenges, and that is why we are here to look at the new National Building Code. So, Bwana Akech, I would like to know why was it necessary to replace the 1968 Building Code to what we are calling the biggest shortcomings?
Thank you, and I want to take this opportunity to appreciate this opportunity from KBC to talk to Kenyans and indeed the globe about the National Building Code 2024. All right. So the National Building Code 2024, which is anchored under the National Construction Authority Act, and of course the mandate is given to the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the docket, that's Lands, Public Works and Urban Development, in consulting the board to develop the regulations. And in this case, the new regulations, the National Building Code 2024, it replaces the 1968 Building Code, which has been there for far too long, 57 years to be exact. This code of 1968 has outlived its usefulness. And if I may use simple few words, it's become archaic and outdated. So the Building Code 2024 brings with it new things. One, the issue of flexibility, which talks about performance-based construction, while the old code was very static in the sense that it was very prescriptive. It was saying that for you to do, for instance, a wall, you must use a certain type of material. But this new code is saying, as long as that material is going to meet certain performance requirements, you're good to go. And that gives space for innovation, for new manufacturing or manufacturers to come up with new innovative materials and new technologies to make the world move. And indeed, 57 years down the line, a lot has changed. Again, the new code brings with it what we call resilient designs, or hazard designs, things to do with earthquake design, flood considerations, and wind, which talks about climate change. So like, you remember 2024, we had serious floods around April, May. This particular code, when it's used to design, those things will be a thing of the past, because we'll be designing things that will be resilient to those kind of hazardous impacts. Also, the new code embraces what we call house that is ready to use. For instance, there is internet connectivity, there is gas connections, things that were not there before. And remember, we're in the digital space. Yes. In the 1968 code, we were not talking about the digital connectivity. And this is where we are now. So it's a ready-to-use building in terms of internet, in terms of gas, and everything else. And also, most importantly, the new code focuses on safety and order around construction industry. So it gives emphasis to safety and order, and means you and me are safe. The people outside there are safe around construction sites or buildings that are already constructed. So the focus is on safety as well as order. And
we'll look at some of the highlights of the new building code later on, but I would like to hear from you on what prompted the government to fast-track the development and rollout of the 2024 building code at this particular time. I know the deadline was on March 1st to have adopted these new codes.
Yeah, so the building code 2024, which I have a copy of here, this one.
All right.
Yeah, this is the whole document. Was published in March 2024. That is the date of publication. Thereafter, of course, it was approved by both houses of parliament. And then in the code, it was meant to have a transition period of 1 year. So having been published in March 2024, 1st March 2024, 12 months later was going to be March 2025. So from March 2025, which is a few months ago, this code is now effective and is now in use. And why it was being fast-tracked is because of, as I said, the challenges that have been there before. Remember, the government is currently ambitiously rolling out what we call the affordable housing, which requires to have standards and order, so that it's able to accelerate and onboard new materials, new technologies to accelerate the development. So this code required to be put in place. Also, there was issues of challenges. You could see occasionally buildings were collapsing from time and again. So this code was also going to address and bring order to the industry to mitigate issues of buildings collapsing. And as I also indicated, the issues of hazards that we had, like especially flooding we had last year. So there was need for government to accelerate the National Building Code 2024 to address the issues of safety and, of course, protect the users against the hazards that were there then. And, of course, give opportunity for for stakeholders, especially in the manufacturing sector, to invent or come up with new materials that are in line with the code, that meet performance requirements in terms of durability, strength, fire, and safety.
Okay, earlier on you did talk to us about the new code and how it incorporates sustainability and green building practices into Kenya's construction standards. I'd like you to be specific about how this new code incorporates climate solutions.
Fantastic. So if you look at the code, there's a specific chapter that addresses sustainable design solutions. And one of them is issues of even rainwater harvesting. So when you're doing a building, for instance, it is required that you need to onboard solutions that's going to harvest the rainwater and store it for use, for domestic use. And then that will save the water use from you can call it the national grid for the water supply. Number two, the issues of energy use in terms of solar is also embedded there. Number three, there are issues of use of locally available materials. That's part of sustainability. Because when you use locally available materials within the places where the building is being constructed, it means you're able to promote the local economy of that area, you're able to promote local labor, and you're able to spur the economy of that. And that is an economic sustainability. And even in terms of environmental sustainability, it will prevent, pollution during transportation of material from a far-flung area to the construction place. So the use of locally available materials is one of the key aspects as well in terms of sustainability. And the other thing of sustainability, if you look at it, is also the fact that there is that the use of natural ventilation, which is also well emphasized, so that you don't use a lot of energy in terms of either cooling or heating the building. So you have natural flow, airflow. So when you're putting a building, siting, locating a building within the place where it's being constructed, the windows must be such that they can get air flowing around your building, and it becomes a healthy building. So these are some of the aspects of green and sustainable construction. And most importantly, the fact that we are talking about hazard resilient designs, where we are talking about the earthquake resilience, wind resilience, flood resilience, is also talking about sustainability, because it's about durability of a building once it is constructed, and it's going to stand there for several years to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned digital connectivity, LPG piping. You've talked about multi-hazard, just the multi-hazard design. Now, I'd like to know, when it comes to LPG piping, the affordable housing program that are being put up across the country, do they have the reticulation system in them?
Very good question. So let me give you a practical point, which is not very far from where we are. This is we are in Nairobi. We have this recently launched, or actually commissioned, or handed over affordable housing here in Nairobi at the Metropolitan site in Mukuru. When we were launching the building code, having been published in March 2024 and having been approved, it was launched on 18th of July 2024, and the launch was done at the affordable housing site. The purpose of using that particular locality or area for launching was to demonstrate some of the things that are embedded in the code that have been included in that particular project. And if you look at it, that particular project, the gas installation is in a central area where you have tanks supplying are piped into the building. So the issue of safety is enhanced, which means you have reduced the risk of a cylinder exploding in your house, and even the unsightliness that comes with the having things all over. So you have a lot of space because the cylinder is not occupying your space. The gas is reticulated into your house, so you just plug and play. So that's an aspect that was demonstrated in that particular project. And also, even if you are to bring in gas later, the pipes or the reticulation infrastructure is already in place. So you just bring in the pipe and put in the house. So you don't have to hack again. And even when we talk about the digital connectivity, the issue of internet or fiber, all the service lines or the ducts are already in place. So it's just about bringing in the fiber connectivity and put it in your house. Then you are able to enjoy free internet or internet at home without affecting the structure of your building because it's already provided for. So it's a very, very robust code, and it provides for now, provides for future, and of course it will be subject to revision as things change. But for now, it is perfect and meets the requirements and the needs of today and tomorrow.
What of the old buildings?
Well,
the already buildings that have been put up.
A good question. Yeah. You know, we now need to go to assess the compliance or the what I would call the, if you introduce the old buildings, we check how the old buildings conform with the new code. And if, of course, there are things that are not compliant, then they'll need to have some modification. And that can be done gradually because it's about the comfort of the home user. And of course, this is a conversation that can happen going forward now that we have the new code. And remember, the old buildings were also built using a code. So the question is, we want to transit the old buildings from what the old code was saying to the new code. That would require some kind of modification and refurbishment to make them conform with the new code as and when the need arises.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that the code is in place following March 1st deadline, how is NCA ensuring that enforcement of this new code, including material testing, certified supervision, penalties for non-compliance and such?
Very good. So what we have embarked on, and I like this conversation because being here today is part of advancing our agenda towards sensitization, awareness and training of Kenyans on the National Building Code 2024. So from March, when the Building Code became effective, we have actually gone across all the 47 counties to sensitize all stakeholders on the National Building Code 2024. We've also engaged a very critical stakeholder, which is the counties, at the level of the deputy governors. We have had a session with all the deputy governors from across the country in a session, and this was meant to quickly have a quick takeoff in terms of, because deputy governors play a very key role, especially at the county level, where they even chair the committees and the county, the CECs, CECMs. So as they sit there, they're able to discuss and mainstream this code from national to county level, because counties play a key role in terms of using the code to approve or give development permits to the developers that send or apply for development permission. So it is this new code that the county will be using. When the architects are doing the design, they also use the same. When the engineers are doing the design, they use the same. When contractors are doing construction, they use the same. When the fundis are doing the actual construction, they use the code. So the code is applicable to everyone. When the developer wants to maintain their house, they use the same. When the house has outlived its usefulness and is supposed to be demolished, they use the same code to bring down the building. So in terms of enforcement, we have gone around the country, sensitized stakeholders as much as we can, but this is a continuous process because, you know, you could also be having new people coming in from time to time. Okay. Now, in terms of non-compliance, of course, as you are aware, the code is a subsidiary legislation which is anchored under the NCA Act. But now the Act has got penal provisions, what I call consumer protection. You know, negatively you can say there are penalties, but positively is protecting the consumer against hazard, isn't it? So what does that mean? That if case someone does not comply, of course they can be taken to court and charged in a court of law, and when found guilty, either they can be fined a fine of not more than 1 million or a jail term of not more than 3 years or both, as the judge may find it. So that is the provision as far as that's concerned. But remember, there are also other penal provisions away from the NC Act, which also can find somebody culpable, and that, of course, the Directorate of Public Prosecutions, as they may find and press charges against the offender when the case is taken to court.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, even as you undertake the nationwide stakeholder sensitization and training program, how are you ensuring that professionals within, you've mentioned architects, structural engineers, estimators, and all such, how are you ensuring that they understand and comply with the new code as well?
Very good. So what we are doing also, we are also doing targeted sensitization and training awareness campaigns where we are engaging professionals through their associations. For instance, we are working very closely with the associations of like Institute of Quantity Surveyors and IQSK, Institute of Quantity Surveyors of Kenya, the Association of Architects, the IEK, Institution of Engineers. These professional bodies are very key in terms of engagement and doing what we call targeted education. We've also been engaging the lawyers. You know, the lawyers are very important when it comes to about the enforcement of the code, because they need to understand what this code is all about, what are the provisions, so that when out there, they're able to detect something that's not compliant and they can take the matter to court, or when the client approaches, or vice versa. But most importantly, so we're engaging the professionals through the associations and also through engagements like this one, where we are having a conversation today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the 2024 code introduces stricter compliance, as you have already told us, and supervision. Now, how will that enforcement, and you have clearly told us in terms of the penalties that come with not being compliant, will be different from the previous decade that we have seen, the 1968 building code?
Well, the difference is that the 1968 building code was anchored under the Local Authorities Act, which became defunct in 2012 or 2010 with the coming of the new constitution, and of course it was replaced by the County Governments Act 2012. Now, if you look at the new code and the enforcement provisions, we are using a collaborative approach. We're using what we call a multi-sectoral approach, where each institution that interacts with the code, using their various legislation, is able to enforce. Like, for instance, if the Engineers Board of Kenya would find an engineer not following the code, they should take action against that engineer as per the provisions of the Engineers Act. The same, the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors, BORAX, should they find an architect or a quantity surveyor not doing the same, they will do so. If we find a contractor not following the code, because we regulate contractors and construction workers, site supervisors, will take action. Of course, the developer also will take action against. If you look at also a very important document called the Physical and Land Use Planning Act, PLUPA, which is domiciled in the Ministry of Lands, but of course very powerful and being also implemented by the counties. All these pieces of legislation have got provisions for enforcement for the National Building Code 2024.
And clearly counties play a critical role in implementation of this National Building Code. Now, in what ways will the code help reduce the collapse of buildings and other structural failures we have witnessed in the past?
I think, Wairimu, you've already seen it. The code became effective from 1st March 2025. We are counting. This is the 4th month. And it was published last year, March 2024. The purpose of this code is to bring order and safety. And when you talk about collapses, it's lack of safety, it's lack of order. So when the overriding theme of the code is safety and order, then I don't expect to see any collapse of building. But let me add something. Provided all players comply with the provisions of the code. So what we ask for is 100% compliance with the National Building Code 2024, and we'll all be safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you speak on maybe the construction sector in terms of job creation and also long-term resilience? And also tell us about how this code aligns with the international building standards and best practices.
Very good. So I start with the last one.
Yes.
So the National Building Code 2024 is a Kenyan document, but is cross-referenced across the globe. In fact, during the development of the code, there was cross-consultation from all stakeholders, including the international experts, for instance. And these are experts who have also developed or supported development of codes in other parts of the world, working with our experts here in Kenya, and we're able to come up with this code. This code is actually a reference document for the globe, and anybody developing any code in any part of the world can actually also use this as a reference point. Right. That's how powerful this code has become. Now, if you ask about the job creation, construction sector supports employment, especially it's a critical sector in terms of job creation. And let's use the comfort zone where I'm aware about in terms of the affordable housing. Of course, we register projects as NCA across both public and private projects, but on the affordable housing alone, as we speak now, on every day, we have more than 300,000 construction workers working on a site. Yeah? That's very powerful. Which other factory employs 300,000 people in one go? It's not possible, isn't it? And I believe as we accelerate the development, the affordable housing, that's gonna increase. But most importantly also, that's just from the public sector. When we talk about the private sector, it also supports a lot of employment creation in that. So in our database, the database of National Construction Authority, we have hundreds of thousands of construction workers registered, and all of them are engaged on a day-to-day basis, earning a living. In fact, why do I say so? If I call them for training, which I always do, I cannot get them in a session. I have to go to site to get them, because they cannot be available anywhere else. I can only find them on site.
Engineer, my director is on my case to wrap up, but I know there's a lot we need to talk about. In terms of the review, the code will be reviewed after how long?
We need to review it every 5 years.
Every 5 years, okay. That's a conversation we'll pick up from there, where we have left off. That is Engineer Maurice Akech talking to us about the new building code. He is the Executive Director at the National Construction Authority. Of course, we invite him again so that we can delve into this conversation. 10 minutes is not enough to talk about the new building code. Now we take a short commercial break. We'll continue with the day's business news, and later on we'll have the sports update with Daniel Wahome.
Today is a testimony of a man that survived as a mistaken identity, and he survived to live to give this story.
My story, it was in the year 2014 as I was negotiating the corner. They overtook us and blocked our car. Their gun was ready, cocked ready for anything. Mulikuwa nafikiri mtaipa. Na mimi nikamwambia, we are not robbers, we are servants of God. Hapo ndio alinifuata na risasi.
Thank you for staying with us. Kenya's efforts to tap into the blue economy have received a major boost with the completion of the 2.6 billion shillings Shimoni Fish Landing Port in Kwale County. The Kenya Ports Authority officially received the facility from the contractor, marking a new chapter in the country's quest to sustainably exploit marine resources for economic growth. Shimoni Fish Port is designed to enhance fish production, processing and value addition both for the domestic and export markets, is now operational. The port features a modern landing, processing and cold storage facilities. Speaking after receiving the facility, Kenya Ports Authority Managing Director Captain William Ruto said the project is a testament to the capability of local contractors to deliver on critical infrastructure.
The journey for the exploitation of the blue economy has has already started, and it has started here in Shimoni. And this will spur the economy of the country and the economy of the region also at large. We will be able to identify an operator who will be able to operationalize this facility.
The port's jetty can handle up to 200 tons of fish per day. It is also expected to directly employ over 1,000 youths and energize the local economy through increased trade and job creation.
It will be able to create employment for the locals and those people who are within this area. And also,
the facility's cold rooms can produce up to 8 tons of ice cubes daily, enhancing preservation and reducing post-harvest losses.
It can be able to support our fishermen who are doing fishing either during the day and they don't have a storage facility.
The Shimoni Fish Landing Port is expected to anchor Kwale as a major fisheries hub while strengthening Kenya's resolve to fully harness its blue economy potential. The Kenya Ports Authority says it will continue investing in strategic port infrastructure to unlock economic potential along the coastline and improve livelihoods.
The Ministry of Roads will spend 176 billion shillings to rehabilitate and maintain roads in the 2025-2026 fiscal year. This will help bridge the yawning roads funding gap, estimated to be around 500 billion shillings. Some of the roads earmarked for rehabilitation include Kisumu-Busia Highway and the Ahero-Kisii-Esebania corridor, key transit routes linking Kenya to Uganda and Tanzania. Mokami Nduta has more details from Homa Bay County.
Kenya's road construction is facing a major challenge. Lack of funds has led to more than 580 stalled projects, saddling the exchequer with 500 billion shillings in pending bills. The Kenya Roads Board estimates that the government will require close to 400 billion shillings in the next 3 years to unlock the funding gap. The government says it will spend 175.6 billion shillings to construct and rehabilitate roads in the country in the current financial year.
I have proposed an allocation of 217.3 billion for development of roads across the country. This includes 30 billion to support construction of new roads and bridges, 70.8 billion for rehabilitation of roads, because we have so many long, the length of roads is so long that we have to maintain them and rehabilitate. And 115.6 billion for road maintenance.
The Kenya National Highways Authority Assistant Director Engineer Jaconia Opodo says the ongoing projects are connecting communities, spurring trade and opening up long marginalized zones. Speaking in Homa Bay County, Engineer Opodo says Kenha is ramping up road rehabilitation works across the Nyanza region as part of the government's broader infrastructure agenda aimed at unlocking the area's vast economic potential.
In Nyanza region, we have these projects that are being implemented by Kenya that apart from accelerating development, they are also creating employment to the communities because the people who are working in these projects are locals.
According to Kenha, more than 531 kilometers of roads are currently being rehabilitated across the country. The improved road network is set to streamline cross-border trade by reducing transportation costs, curbing post-harvest losses, and enabling faster movement of goods and people within the East African community. Ndota Mokami for Prime Edition.
Now, financial institutions and property firms have, or rather should collaborate to find ways to deepen access to mortgage facilities. Such collaborations is expected to cushion investors, provide desired workmanship while averting hidden costs. Even though mortgage rates have reduced to less than 10%, property owners are yet to embrace it, with just about 30,000 mortgage customers in the country.
Speaking during the launch of the index at the local booth, NSE Chief Frank Mwiti says the listing is a strategic milestone that supports the exchange's long-term vision to connect local investors to global opportunities.
My great pleasure to welcome you to our market today as we celebrate yet another significant milestone, which is the listing of the Citrix MSCI World ETF.
According to Duma Mzenge, head of business and market development at Satrix, the decision to list in Kenya reflects a broader strategy to support African capital markets. Satrix, which manages over 561 billion shillings in exchange-traded funds, now lists 38 ETFs on the JSE. Its entry into Kenya is part of a wider push to bring sophisticated investment tools to markets across the continent.
Today's listing represents a first for Kenya, introducing a globally diversified investment instrument on the NSE. And it's really yet another step on this incredible journey that the exchange is on.
By unlocking access to the MSCI World Index, investors in Kenya now have an efficient way to diversify beyond domestic markets.
The listing marks a new chapter for Kenya's financial markets, giving investors direct access to a global index fund from their local trading desks without the need for offshore accounts or foreign currency conversions.
Well, we apologize for that. That story is on Kenyan investors being able to access global equities through the Nairobi Securities Exchange following the second listing of the Satrix Morgan Stanley Capital International World Feeder ETF on the NSE. Now, we take a look at the mortgage financing, where financial institutions and property firms should collaborate to find ways of deepening access to mortgage facilities. Let's take a look at that story.
However strong do your house, we complete the house, then you will start servicing your loan. That will ensure that you've gotten what you wanted, the quality you are looking for, and the home you wanted from the beginning, even before you start paying for it.
Land have got title deeds, so you only produce your title, and that title is going to be charged by the bank as the Everstrong develops these houses and homes.
Each stage, there will be evaluation of the construction, there will be checks and balances, and there will also be a checklist.
Now, the government has rolled out construction of a ditch dam in Kerio Valley to support irrigation and offer water for domestic use. Water Principal Secretary Ephraim Kimotho says once complete, the dam facilitates irrigation of 6,000 hectares of land, hectares rather.
Residents of Kerio Valley are set to benefit from the construction of a ditch dam, which has a holding capacity of 120 million cubic liters. The dam is expected to facilitate irrigation of 6,000 hectares of land, boosting agricultural productivity in the region.
Hii dam tumekuja hapa iko na capacity ya 120 million liters na itaweza kusaidia kufanya irrigation for fodder, ndiposa wakulima na posa hapa wapate pasta na pia mifugo yao ipate maji. Na hiyo itakuwa solution kubwa sana ku address mambo ya insecurity.
In addition, the initiative is expected to supply water for domestic use to over 4,500 households and support livestock farming.
Kutakuwa na maji mengi sana ambayo itafanya irrigation close to 10 kilometers away from here. Sasa inaonyesha hii area yote mpaka Tilimo itakuwa na maji, hii area yote mpaka upande wa Chepelion itakuwa na maji. Watu watapanda nyanya, vitunguu na mahindi wakule wapeleke Koloa.
Residents have welcomed the initiative, describing it as a major step towards unlocking the region's agricultural potential and improving livelihoods.
Hii maji ikikuja, tunaweza toa nje, tunalima mboga, tunalima hata matunda, hata nyanya, tunapata chakula mzuri sana. Watoto wetu wanakunywa maji kabisa mzuri sana. So tutapata mboga, tutahangaika.
Sylvia Gatti reporting for Prime Edition.
Remember, Chan Eco KBC, and to tell us more about that is Daniel Wahome on the other end of the studio. Good evening, Wahome.
Thank you very much, Wairimu Njenga, for the introduction, and I can assure you, Chan Eco KBC And it's all the 44 matches that are going to be broadcast here. And remember, we also have a sister station, Y254 to broadcast that. Radio stations are there. So if you're in Turkana, if you are in Kwale, if you are in Embu, if you are in Bomet County, if you are in Kakamega County, if you are in Kisii County or Nyamira County, and if wherever you are in the country, we've got a sound for you to entertain you throughout the month of August. But let's start with some offside news. The World Women's Marathon World Record holder Ruth Chepngetich has been provisionally suspended by the Athletics Integrity Unit after testing positive for hydrochlorothiazide, a banned diuretic and masking agent, in March this year. The 30-year-old Kenyan athlete voluntarily accepted a provisional suspension while the AIU's investigation continued. HCTZ is prohibited due to its potential to mask the use of performance-enhancing substances. Chepngetich made history at the 2024 Chicago Marathon, setting a world record with a time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, 56 seconds, nearly 2 minutes faster than the previous mark. It was her third victory in Chicago. She also won the marathon at the 2019 World Athletics Championships in Doha, Qatar. Chepngetich has a right to have a case heard before a disciplinary tribunal, according to AIU head Brett Clothier, although they have not announced a timeline for further disciplinary proceedings. And off to Nigeria, where Kenyan athletes were off to a winning start at the third edition of the Africa Under-18 and Under-20 Athletics Championships, which got away in Abeokuta, Nigeria, to clinch 2 gold medals, 1 silver and a bronze on the opening day of the championship. Karen Jepchirchir ran away with the title in the Under-18 girls 1500-meter race, as Lawmaker clinched the boys' title to seal a Kenyan double. Edwin Elkanah and Ngetich Ronald settled for the silver and bronze in the 10,000-meter race that was won by Uganda's Samuel Cherop. Robert Sang secured his ticket to the next round of the boys' under-18 400-meter race after a victorious run in Heat 2.
Still coming forward, Emil Harris. Can he do it? Can he overtake the Kenyan in front? He's overtaking the one. Can he do it to the other? Well, he's too tall now. Now he's building the gap to the finish line.
We will have the Ethiopian passing for third place.
Yes,
see how fast you finish. So if you have a quick finish, then you can sustain it from like the 300 meters to go or 200 meters to go. So we'll see who can kick more or who has a good finish here. So the battle is now between the Kenyan and the Ethiopian, as usual.
Elizabeth Amare just relinquishing a position there, but can she reclaim it back? The Ethiopian still trying to come forward, but the Kenyan says no, and now she increases the gap to the very end, and she clinches this one. What a race.
And we can see the Kenyans have made it.
She did it with style, she did it with confidence, she did it with consistency, and that's what you need.
And on to matters infrastructure, where 15% of the renovation works at the Idhokwe Stadium in Kitui County have been completed. The stadium is among several sporting facilities undergoing upgrades ahead of the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. Well, on Wednesday, Cabinet Secretary for Sports Salim Vuria inspected the stadium after he had officially handed over the Nyayo National Stadium to the local organizing committee of the 2024 Africa Nations Championship CHAN.
Cabinet Secretary for Sports Salim Vuria conducted an inspection tour of the ongoing construction works at the Idhokwe Stadium in Kitui County. The stadium, a flagship infrastructure project for the region, will have a capacity of 10,000 spectators and is set to host the 2025 Mashujaa Day national celebrations.
We want to urge all of us to work together to support the contractor. I already directed him to make sure that they employ the locals here for the works, and as they add the labor force, they will also continue to add the people of this area to benefit from this project.
CS Mvuri expressed satisfaction with the pace and quality of construction, affirming the government's commitment to delivering the project on time.
CHAN 2024, the success of CHAN will be a prelude to AFCON 2027. And you know, AFCON 2027, we will have completed the Talanta City Stadium, the 60,000 capacity, which we should be able to take the keys in December, and it will change the entire sports ecosystem in our country.
The facility, one of 37 grounds under facelift, will be upgraded to accommodate a wider range of sporting disciplines in the government's efforts of developing the sporting talents available in the country. At the same time, CS Mvurya met with stakeholders ahead of the CHAN kickoff on 2nd of August.
This hosting has a bigger meaning because many people look at the football. But we are also looking at the profile of our country positively. We are also looking at the inspiration of the economic system that comes with this tournament.
Buckley Feather, Prime Edition Sports.
And back to Nairobi, where the national under-12 tennis champion Zayan Virani, who was the only Kenyan survivor at the ongoing ITF J62 at the Nairobi club, fell out at the quarterfinal stage after he was beaten by France's Thomas Piot by straight sets of 7-5, 6-4 in the singles match. Piot will face Serbian Marko Dragovic in the semi-finals tomorrow after the Serbian beat Polish Lorenzo Silva by 2-1 of 1-6, 7-5 and 6-love. In another match, Ivan Makarov eliminated Serbian Uros Zivkovic by 2 straight sets of 6-3, 6-2 and will now face Louis Collot of France, who knocked out Indian Dev Vipul by straight sets of 7-6 and 6-3. In the doubles, Lila Budur and Milana Kolesova from Turkey beat Angel Patel and Kashvi Sunil of India in straight sets of 6-2, 6-2. The tournament is geared towards improving junior players' rankings.
Our matches that led us here were pretty good. We just kept on getting better and better every match. And I think we played really well today, so I'm happy. Today I played 2 matches, singles and doubles. In singles I played well, I won. So it was not so tough match, but it was okay.
Now, the Kenya national baseball men's and women's teams will start their residential training next month in Bigori in preparation for the Baseball 5 World Cup scheduled to take place in Mexico from the 24th of September this year. This was confirmed by the Kenya Baseball Federation President Titus Muturi, who added that the final squad will be reduced to 8 from 12 players and will comprise 4 men and 4 women. Kenya will be making its second appearance at the Baseball 5 World Cup, having competed previously in the 2022 edition, where the senior team finished 8th overall. Currently, the Kenyan team is ranked 15th in the world. Now, Italy beat Norway by 2-1 in the quarterfinals of the 2025 UEFA Women's European Championship to progress to the semi-finals, where they will meet either England or Sweden. Both the team captains led by example, with Christina Grielli on target twice in the second half for the Italians, while Norway's Ada Hegerberg leveled matters in between, but it was not enough as they were sent packing. In the meantime, reigning champions England are 3 games away from defending their title before tonight's quarterfinal match against Sweden at the Stadion Letzigrund. Spain will face Switzerland in another quarterfinal match tomorrow, while France will play Germany on Saturday. And so that's the sport for tonight. But I'll tell you, we've been asked one question at the KBC Sports Desk through on our socials and everything. Is it CHAN 2024 or is it CHAN 2025? The official name of the competition is CHAN 2024, and it has been trademarked by CAF because it was supposed to have been held last year. The same way, the women's AFCON that KBC is going to broadcast tomorrow in the quarterfinals, 7 p.m. and 10 p.m., is known as Women's AFCON or WAFCON 2024, but being played in 2025. So tomorrow at 7 p.m., we'll have our Darubini coming in early at 7:15 because Nigeria versus Zambia are going to be playing at 7 p.m. That is a big one. Do not miss that. And also after that, Morocco versus Mali. That's what we have in line for you for this weekend. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to Wairimu Njenga.
Well, thank you. Daniel, for the update and telling us what to expect when it comes to football tomorrow and throughout the weekend. Now, that's where we put a cap on tonight's bulletin. Thank you for staying with us for the last 1 hour and a half. It's been a pleasure. Remember our social media handles at KBC Channel 1. My social media handle is at Njenga. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.